Every entrepreneur has one. The moment you decide to start your own business, your story begins. And if you're like most business owners, your plan and your reality can end up being miles apart. Welcome to PTC TV and our series entitled The Journey. Each week, we will be talking to business owners about their business journey. Our hope is that by sharing these stories, others may find understanding, inspiration, and the will to succeed. So let me ask you, what's your story? Welcome to The Journey, brought to you by Pull the Chute. I'm your host, Jeff Cecil, and today we are at the Brand Executive Growth Studios. We're excited to have Jason Lee with us here today with SimpliHOM. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So Jason, what we do on this show is we kind of get to hear your story, your journey of where you got to and where you're sitting today. But before we do that, I'd love to learn a little bit about who you are. So give us your past, give us a little bit of history about you.
Well, I grew up in Western Kentucky.
Okay.
I've been here in Middle Tennessee since 2009. So I moved here just before the big flood happened. And I've been doing this ever since.
That had to be bizarre when the flood hit.
It was very, very interesting just because, seeing half of Tennessee underwater and half of, Bradley Parkway underwater.
Yeah.
And it was the most
I can't even imagine
surreal thing that I've ever experienced.
Yeah. It's like, where did all that water come from? Right. It's crazy sometimes. So grew up in Western Kentucky, you moved to Middle Tennessee, yet you're wearing a Green Bay Packers shirt. I got to ask, why is that happening?
My mom's entire family's from Wisconsin.
Okay.
It was about the only thing that I picked up from Wisconsin. So I'm not a Badger, not a Brewers fan, anything like that. So, but I've always, it was right about the time I started getting into sports. Brett Favre was coming into the league.
Okay.
So it was just that natural charisma that Brett Favre had that just sort of
he did.
Like, hey, Packers are from Wisconsin. My relatives are from Wisconsin. I'll be a Packers fan.
All right, there you go. All right, love it. So tell us a little bit about what you do. So tell us about SimpliHOM.
Well, SimpliHOM is a rather new company. It's been around for about 5 years now.
Okay.
I do residential real estate. They also have a commercial real estate side. Okay. And mainly helping people buy and sell homes through whether it's personal home, investment properties, anything with that.
All right, cool. So I got to ask the question because there are a lot of real estate agents. What makes you different?
I would say it's probably that I care almost too much about my clients.
Okay.
And, I put my heart and soul into it. And if it's not the right thing, no matter if it's going to hurt my pocket or not, I try to tell them, what I think is the right thing to do. Okay.
So as you go through that process, what is some of the biggest struggles when you go through that? I mean, there's got to be ups and downs.
Yeah. So with real estate, especially when you first get started, but even more so, it's mainly just trying to go through the ebbs and flows and the highs and the lows of having clients, not having clients. Like, right. Hey, where's my next real estate paycheck going to come from? And it just the highs and lows of that are sometimes very, very difficult to.
Very stressful, I can imagine. So what made you want to get into real estate?
Well, the realtor that I had when I bought my first house said, "Hey, you're great with people." Said you're very likable, and have you ever considered real estate? And I had people talk to me about real estate in the past. Mm-hmm. And they're like, everything you've done between sales, between dealing with people, with waiting on tables as a bartender, anything like that, said you're going to be able to use and pull from all of those, and you're going to be perfect for real estate.
Interesting. So that's interesting that they thought of all the different aspects, and that's just because you can connect with different people?
Yes. It's sort of almost being like a chameleon and having it where I don't want to say change who you are, but like talk with different.
Sure. No, that's, you got to, exactly.
And just be able to connect with different people based on their personalities. And you have to do that. You have to do that in sales. You have to do that as a bartender. You have to do that as a server. And if somebody likes to talk, you have to be able to talk. If they don't want to be left alone, you have to know how to treat them.
That's true.
And so it just, all of those things sort of kind of led me into doing real estate.
That's interesting. It's funny. One of my early mentors taught me that when I was going to talk to people from a sales standpoint was to learn about their area a little bit, see what the sports teams are doing, see if there was any tragedies in the area, things like that. So when you went there, like I'd go to New York, or I'd go to Philadelphia, or, so East Coast, I ended up being on a lot, or even LA a couple times. You could have a conversation, and the people that you were talking to felt like you knew enough to be aware, and that kind of would raise, or I should say lower, their intimidation factor. And they'd open up a little more because you took the time to understand what was going on there.
Building that rapport with them.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So what if, so you've been doing this, you've been with SimpliHOM for 5 years. Before that, were you with somebody else, or
prior to that, I was with Remax for about 4 or 5 years. And then prior to that was with Exit for a few years.
Okay. So why do you, this is an interesting question for me. Why do you switch agencies?
So different brokerages have different things that they offer. When I was with Exit, it was sort of kind of like I came out of the gate, like that's who my realtor that I was with was with. So I was like, sure, I don't know any better, so I'll join Exit. And then I felt that I needed to have sort of kind of a little bit of a different push for me. So I was like, okay, well let me try something different. So I ended up joining a team. When I joined a team, they happened to be with Remax Elite. And then stuff didn't end up working out with the team, but I was like, I really like the company. So ended up just going right into working for Remax Elite.
Okay.
I would probably still be with Remax today. However, the owner of our company decided that she didn't want to renew with Remax. So we had about a 30-day window to be able to decide who we're going to go with. When that happened, they said, well, hey, this guy named Sean McHugh is with at the time it was the Home Group prior to being SimpliHOM, said, hey, he's taking over all of the offices.
Okay.
So once he actually took over all the offices, everybody from majority of the people that were in my office decided to transfer over, including my broker, all of the people that I loved working with, and probably about 90% of them are actually still with the company. Here now, going on 4 or 5 years later.
Oh, that's great. So describe to me what it's like to work for them. I mean, you're talking about teams. What does that mean, and how do you guys work together?
So there's a couple different aspects with teams. So teams could be either you're on an actual team where you're all working on the same deal.
Okay.
But then you also have a team as like the concept of like a team of your office. So I go into the office almost every single day, and we sort of kind of bounce ideas off of each other, see what's working in the marketplace, see what's not working in the marketplace. Go in there, be like, hey, I've got this house at 123 Main Street. Do you have any buyers? Do you know anybody that you've heard that is looking for this? So it's sort of being around a team of people, even though they're not technically on your team.
Got it.
So it's a little bit different of a concept of a team, even though we do actually have some big teams that are actually in our office.
Interesting. And do you find that to be a better way to work? I mean, because I know that, I know agents, they're just agents, right? And they do their own thing and let them go kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hit and miss with every single agent. It works better for me because I feed off the energy of the people that are in there.
Right. Okay.
There's other people that don't need that. And there's other people that feel that they do need that. I happen to be one of them just because I love being around people, and I feed off the energy of the people that are in there. So I feel like I'm a more efficient worker being there in the office.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. It's funny. I totally agree with the whole energy thing. We get together sometimes with different people, and there are times when I am so energized, and then of course there's those people that when I leave them, I'm exhausted too, right? It's like, oh my gosh, that just took all the energy out of me to just even deal with them. But absolutely buy into that whole thing. So you've been doing it for 5 years. What's one of the biggest challenges? I know the market has to be a challenge, but outside the market, what's another challenge that you kind of deal with that you struggle with?
I'd say right now it's time management.
Oh, interesting.
Time management is a huge thing, and I've gotten better. I've just recently started like throwing everything in my Google Calendar, so because it's just I feel like I am so much better and so much more focused with being able to actually stay on task with things. Yeah. But with time management, it's partially with work, partially with family. So trying to have work hours be work hours and family hours be family hours. And as much I try my absolute hardest to try to keep them separate. But
just
you know,
gonna ask
with a realtor, being a realtor, it's sometimes difficult, and sometimes they do sort of kind of bleed into each other. But you know, that's one of the great things about you know my career is it allows me that flexibility to be able to do
Yeah,
that.
it does. So that's interesting because I always feel like poor realtors are their time is never theirs, right?
Yeah.
To a certain degree, because if something happens, or if you're in the middle of putting some paperwork together for someone to buy a home, or it's in that process, and you'll probably get calls at 7, 8 at night. And do you take those? I mean,
If
do you have boundaries?
I try my absolute best to try to like have it where like 5 to 7 or 5 to 8 are family hours.
Okay, good.
I know that's sort of like in an ideal world that would actually happen, that where I wouldn't be able to take any phone calls during that time. If my wife knows that I'm in the middle of working a deal, or if I have a really hot property that's on the market, which happens to be right now, if I actually have those, she tries to be more understanding that I am fielding phone calls. You know, biggest reason is I'm the sole breadwinner in our household, and so you know if I don't work and produce, we don't eat.
Cool. And so, what does the future hold with SimpliHOM for you? I mean, are you part of the group now? I mean, how do they do it? Do they make you like, I don't want to say shareholder, but are you like, if they grow, do you get something? If they sell, do you get something? How does that work?
So they just recently introduced revenue sharing, as well as stocks. So they're planning on eventually going public, and pretty much for like every sale that you have, like your first sale, your sixth sale, your 10th sale, your 35th sale a year, you get a certain number of sales for every single sale that you make. Okay. And then if you bring somebody in the company, you get shares. That's as great. Well as they just started doing revenue sharing with downlines. So if I bring somebody into the company, they go underneath me. Okay. And I will eventually, when I make the switch over to it, I'll eventually start making money when they make money. Okay. But it's not coming out of their pocket. It's mainly coming out of what's going to the company. Got it. They're just sharing with us.
Okay. I like that. So now let me ask this. You sparked a question for me. So downlines, people that come underneath you, are you training them then? Is it your responsibility to train them or support them, or how does that work?
There is an option for them to come underneath me as a mentor.
Okay.
Which I've had a few mentees over the years, and that is an option. It's not required.
Okay.
But
so you can bring someone in that can go under you, but you're not necessarily the mentor.
Correct.
Is what you said.
Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm bringing brand new agents into the market or into SimpliHOM. It's more any realtor, and I mean, I'd actually prefer not to have brand new agents coming in underneath me. I'd rather have an experienced agent.
Okay. Well, sure. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Wonderful. So, where do you want to be in 5 years? What's your plan?
In 5 years, I mean, we've got plans this year to try to get our first investment home. So we've been looking down in Florida, and right outside of Orlando. Okay. We would love to eventually have it where we have several investment properties, just because that's my eventual retirement is having rental properties.
Sure. Awesome. Love that. Jason, thanks so much for being here today. We really appreciate that. I love to hear your story. I love what SimpliHOM is doing. I think that's an exciting thing. I mean, I feel like they're kind of breaking the glass ceiling, if you will, about how to handle realtors and stuff. So congratulations for being part of that team. I think it's amazing.
Thanks so
much. So for our viewers out there, thanks again, as always, for watching. We're always interested in your feedback. And thanks for Jason for being here today. Until we talk again, stay safe and be healthy.